Ricky.
I pressed it. Are you happy?
Wait, the mic fell over.
Are you kidding me?
Alright, no, don't stop. We're going with it.
That's going to be the intro, and then the theme song is going to play, and then we're going to get into the actual...
Wait, fuck! I'm tightening it. Wait, loosening up. Hold the mic up, Justin.
I'm holding it. Hold on.
Hold on.
It's actually still
Hi,
running.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's the
good.
point.
I hit R again. It didn't stop.
This is just
That's okay. It's never going to stop.
I am
This is
going to
fine.
lower the volume.
This was planned, guys. This is a sketch.
Alright.
This is sketch comedy.
This is the Nobodies podcast, not the Compass. It is the Nobodies podcast. We're going to start this off with an intro song. We don't have one yet, but we have a guy named Liam, and he's going to do it strong. Bring it! Let's go, Liam! You had one job. Let's do it!
Chop, chop.
Ready? Alright, and we're going to get some nice... Let's say, it doesn't have to be a rap, but it's got to be something... It's got to be something clean, something fresh.
It's just going to happen.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm just
3, 2, 1,
Hope
bring
you're
it.
ready.
Turn it up. Let's go, Mike. Alright, turn it off, Liam. That was enough. That's the intro song. Alright, today we have guests. Actually, we're going to introduce myself first. I'm Ethan Brondum. I'm going to host this with Alec. Hydos.
I'm Alec. I can't believe you introduced me for me.
You're welcome. Alright, and our guest today is Mike McLaughlin and Justin Perez.
Why are you guys shouting?
How's it going?
I'm
I
not
don't know,
shouting
man.
that loud.
Alright, so today we're going to have a couple topics that we're going to talk about. And there's going to be an overall theme, and we're going to discover what that theme is towards the end of the podcast. So today we're going to introduce ourselves a little bit. We're going to talk about what I do. I'm Ethan Brondum. I'm an actor, writer. I also sell stuff on the side. I try to progress as a person always, and I like to learn stuff about things and new people, you know?
Absolutely.
So, Alec, what do you do?
I am a guy in the audio field, believe it or not. Kind of a big part of this is I'm setting up most of the audio for this podcast.
All right. So, Mike, what do you do?
I'm in between schools right now, but I'm working on a chem degree, and I'm also a volunteer EMT on the side.
Nice. So you save lives and go to school. What do you do, Justin?
I'm an avid sex haver. I have tons of sex. Constantly. To the point where it's kind of annoying, actually. I also save puppies from burning buildings. But in my free time, I usually study at school.
Nice. And where did you take this trade from? Where'd you learn this?
Sex having?
Yeah.
It was inherited. You kind of just like pick
Was
up...
it like a family thing?
Well, it's like a human thing.
All right, that's great. So, we're gonna bring up the first topic today. How does film and television influence our lives? Right? In my life, I've experienced many great TV shows, movies, as I'm sure we all have. One thing that has really changed who I am, I don't want to say changed, but bettered who I am, is a show called Avatar: The Last Airbender. That show, I think we all know, is pretty deep, pretty great. It's got a lot of things to learn from and to take into your own life and put it out there, and so you can experience a better... I guess you can bring a better humanity to everything, you know? Mike, what is any movie or television show that's really changed or impacted your life?
TV show that's greatly impacted my life. I mean, I have a good couple of favorite shows, but I'm gonna play a weird card here and say Jeopardy. I think Jeopardy's kind of a big deal. It's been on for like ever, and it's such a staple. Like every time we eat dinner, we just sit down and we put Jeopardy on the TV.
How logical of you, Mike.
I know, isn't that like classic me?
It's a good one.
What did you say? What have you learned or what have you taken away from Jeopardy?
I don't know. I don't think I've kind of extracted any life lessons. No, you know what? That's not true. Because when people make it a true daily double and bet everything on one question, that gets me pretty hyped. And I feel like that's kind of a metaphor for life where, like, if you don't risk anything, you don't gain anything, you know?
Yeah, you also should know all of your Courage the Cowardly Dog trivia in preparation for Jeopardy.
Yes, you should.
You learn so many weird things from like trivia. I didn't even really like watch Jeopardy too much or any kind of trivia shows. I always usually tap out, and I don't know why. Honestly, it's just like I don't tribute like this random knowledge that everyone has to like. Not that it's not worth anything, but it's just like, well, you either know it or you don't.
Yeah,
It's so binary.
We were
It's
doing trivia at the coffee shop, and one of the questions was something like, "Oh, what is the frosting variety that has the colored pieces in it?" And I'm just like, "Oh, that's funfetti." But why the fuck do I know that? Like, that's taking up space in my brain, and it's not doing anything for me except winning me points.
You never knew it was there before you said it, though, or like
Yeah,
you thought
and
of the question.
it's just those dumb things that you know and you don't need to know, and they come up once in your life.
You also get super hyped when you actually know something, especially when you've had a losing streak of like, what was like the 15th president? What was like this and that?
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, like I don't know any of this shit.
I remember when I was in 6th grade, I would watch the History Channel every morning before school. There was like the History Kids and like Modern Marvels. And I remember this one show they did like a geography of like the West Coast, and it just so happened that day we had like the geography bee for our school, or like my grade in 6th grade. And out of like 200 students, I won out of like the 6th grade just because I watched that show that morning.
That's pretty hype.
And so I went up to like against the whole district, against all the high schoolers and everything, and like the second round I completely lost. But I learned if you watch TV, you learn knowledge, and you also
Put your heart out there. You know?
exactly. So Alec, what's some television or film or any favorite movie that you have that really like really helps you like go on in life?
And I even had Mike in front of me to think about this, and I still have no idea. I don't even watch that much TV anymore. I guess it would have to be film. I think I've talked about Baby Driver so many times.
Great movie.
But the sound design in that, it's something about how in sync everything is that just makes me so happy. It's so cool. It's attention to detail that almost is never gotten.
Right. How do you feel about like Edgar Wright? I can't even say
Edgar Wright?
correctly.
I like a lot of his stuff, just in how it's a little too artistic, but in such a way that I like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing crazy though. It's not like some other directors, but that gets into the question of directors.
How do you guys feel about like bad movies, like really bad movies, or like movies that just don't serve a good purpose or just are made for a cash grab? Or how do you feel about those still like existing, or how they're made, and just like, especially like an example, let's say there was a documentary made about Hitler way back when, right? When during World War II, and that really affected like the German people. And that was, would you say that was a good influence or a bad influence? Well, we know what Hitler did, right? It was pretty bad. So I would say that's a bad influence, right? But now let's take a movie, we're going to make a drastic change and do Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live action movie, right? We all know how bad that is, right? And it exists, it's out there. Would you ever let your children watch that movie?
Well, I mean, there's two definitions to bad movies, I think, or probably even more. It can be a bad movie because it's extra cliche, like a lot of just the general action movies that we get. Some people would say those are bad movies because they are just made in a factory. Then there are the ones that are just awful production all around that are almost laughable. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think. Movies
The Room.
Mine are, huh?
The Room.
The Room, yeah, or like. Even something like Napoleon Dynamite was supposed to be considered a bad movie.
Yeah. Do you mean like content-wise or morally?
Yeah.
Either way, I mean, it's... I think of, like, if I ever, like... I grow up and I have kids, right? And they're like, they made Avatar: The Last Airbender in a live-action movie? I have to watch that, because I know my kids are going to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, the animated series, right?
I mean...
But I'm going to be like, it's not worth your time. But it is part of history, right?
But even beyond that, it's also just their time. If they want to watch
I
it,
think
they're gonna watch it.
I think when it comes to film, especially, and this is what like kind of goes back to what my favorite films are, is for me, and not to be contrarian or any kind of just like whoa, like I'm thinking about the art of it all, but I think it's when you know that the director and the crew and everyone that's a part of this production, because that's really what it is. It's a collaborative effort. It's not just some dude with one vision. It's a whole bunch of people working together to make something happen, right? When that all kind of lines up from the planets align, it's something beautiful that just kind of just emerges out of nowhere. And honestly, to say, everyone's vision, and it's kind of like a language directing almost, where it's like you can tell everyone has their own style. There's this own different takes on different, like, you have different accents. You have action movies, you have spy movies, you have the Fast and Furious, which may not be a little bit more classy, but a little bit more more oriented towards cars. So that might be like something different.
What's your favorite movie, Justin?
My favorite movie
Or TV show?
TV show. That's a hard question because honestly, it's changing all the time. But I don't know. I can
Would you say that's a good thing, that it's just that we keep getting like such good content that like our favorites keep changing?
Yeah, there's no drought, especially nowadays. Before, it's definitely like whatever was in the movie theater, like that's what you watched,
Yeah.
and that's all the options you had. But I think nowadays anyone has a camera, so it's some pretty cool stuff that's out there if you look hard enough. So yeah, we have like just this content overload now compared to back then, and it's just this awesome phenomenon that's happened that's never happened before, where you're seeing all these new people just come from literally nothing and out of nowhere, and now they're making bunch of money because of what they thought.
Yeah. I think it's pretty great, because I know growing up my like favorite movie was Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, and now my favorite movie is, I don't even know, there's too many. We just watched Endgame last night, and that was pretty fantastic.
No spoilers.
No spoilers, but we're gonna move on now to the next topic. It's gonna be kind of a drastic change, but Alec,
Yeah.
what's the scariest dream you've ever had? And why was it the scariest dream you've ever had?
The scariest dream I've had is I had a recurring dream for when I lived in New York, the first part of my life. I moved out and came back, but I would have a dream of going over 9W, and just tell me what's up.
I don't think the audio is picking up very close.
It's going through.
All right.
Is it picking up the controller too?
Probably.
That's fine.
It's fine. He knows he's playing. I forgot where we were. Just ask the question again.
What was the scariest dream you've ever had, and why was it the scariest dream?
The scariest dream I ever had was early on. I would have this reoccurring dream that I'd be driving on 9W here, and there's the big turn that just overlooks nothing when you're going southbound. And I would have a dream every night, go over it. And I'm like 4 or 5 years old, and I remember having it so many nights in a row, just going off. And like every once in a while, I would, somehow get a parachute. But most of the time, it was just like crashing, and it was just so freaky, only because it kept on happening.
And why was that the scariest dream? Why did that affect you the most?
Because I didn't really have scary dreams, and I think a part of that is definitely once I got a bit older, I never really stayed in that light sleep. It was always heavy sleep or get out of bed. So once I got to that point in my life, I kind of stopped dreaming. I think I've told you guys before, like, I haven't dreamed in probably months, if not years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think the scariest dream I've ever had was like Justin like coming into my room in the middle of the night, and he's just like, he's really, how he's really like sex savvy, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's just like, he doesn't stop. It's like I'm just kidding. That's not at all. But
that wasn't a dream.
Justin.
all right. So we're gonna move on from that topic. And Justin, what's the scariest dream?
Let's unpack that. So,
If you want to.
all right, what's up? The scariest dream I've ever had,
And why?
and why it was. Okay. The scariest dream I ever had. The scariest dream I ever had was the scariest dream I ever had was when I woke up in my dream. Like I went to bed in real life and then I woke up in my dream and I was walking around and nobody like from like my phone, I had no contacts on my phone or anything like that. And I was walking around and nobody recognized me. Like my family didn't recognize me. Nobody knew who I was. They were just like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, I'm your son. What do you mean?" And they're like, "No, you're not. What? Get out of my house." So I just got like kicked out, and I just remember it kind of cutting to me just walking down a street alone, and like that's it, nothing else.
Like the first Twilight Zone episode, we're just all alone.
Yeah, literally,
It was like
just like, and I guess that stems from a fear that I just have in general. It's just like you don't want to be lonely or like not have anyone in your life. 'Cause that fucking blows. I shouldn't have to explain that to anybody.
yeah, loneliness sucks.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess like in our minds we can get kind of lonely sometimes, and while we're sleeping, it's just like, well, let's just take that feeling and just up it 27 notches.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel like I'm the most introspective when I'm sleeping now than I was before. When I was just like, well, let's
see what we can do tonight.
let's spin the roulette wheel and see what I fucking get. Oh, nightmare. Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's you know, I encourage other people to do this too. Is just to spend time, think about, you know, what you did that day.
And how do you think that like how that affects your like daily life, like your sex savvy life, and
Well, I think it just affects me in a certain way. When I wake up, I feel kind of almost like like a roller coaster of emotion, where it's like when you wake up, you're like, oh, okay, it's like a fresh slate again. Let's see how today works out. And if today's a good day, then you know it's another reset. You wake up in the morning, you're like, all right, let's see what this day brings. Literally just taking it day by day at a time, emotionally, physically, in all aspects. Which I mean, personally, I don't think it's too healthy, but it's just what I've been doing recently. So that's kind of just how I've been processing things lately.
Nice.
At least.
Well, I mean, you got a healthy view to it, so
Yeah.
that's great. Mike, I know you got some scary stuff. What's your scariest dream
I
you've
think
ever
the
had?
scariest dreams, there's kind of two classes. I think the scariest dreams I've had are the meta dreams that are like Inception type stuff, where I'm dreaming, and then I wake up, but I'm in a different dream, and then I wake up again, and it like
Inception
scares the fuck out of me.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's happened multiple times, and it hasn't stopped freaking me out. It's just something about that like deeply unsettles
You
me.
wake up like exhausted at the end of the day, just like or
Yeah.
at the beginning of the morning actually.
Yeah.
You, you know what sucks? Having a really hot cousin.
What kind of segue is this? Are we talking about hot cousins now?
The other class of nightmare is not about hot cousins. I'm just gonna throw that in there.
Ah, crap.
Oh, it could be though. Like it could be about.
That sounds like a pretty fucking awful nightmare.
Yeah.
All right. So, what were you saying, Mike? Sorry, I just.
Oh, the other class of nightmare I had was we were camping. It wasn't us. It was me and a different group of people. But we were camping, and a bunch of them wanted to go ghost hunting. So we went to this building that was allegedly an old Spanish monastery, and brought some interesting equipment. Tried to provoke the ghosts a little bit. Nothing crazy came of it, but I went to sleep, and we were sleeping in hammocks in the woods. And I had a dream that one of the girls in the camp became a Spanish nun and murdered the rest of us. And I very distinctly remember like her stabbing me in my hammock, and then me rolling out onto the ground and like bleeding out and watching her kill everyone else in the camp. Which is pretty fucking grim. So
Yeah, that's fucked.
yeah.
And so that's really weird.
Yeah,
To be honest.
hell,
That's why I don't even know how to.
how do you follow that?
I don't know.
Some
like
weird shit
Friday?
happened after that. Like I came home from the camping trip and my road was really foggy.
Is this where it comes from?
Yeah, this is where the Curse of Mine Hill comes from.
I think we're gonna have to.
Yeah,
Do we want to go into this?
yeah.
Let's do it.
So
Finish off with the Curse of Mine Hill.
if you guys know Aiden,
Oh, we're not
O'Keefe-
finishing off.
If you guys know Aiden O'Keefe, I was with him at this camping thing.
Okay.
And we come back the night after, and I told him about this crazy dream I had. He's just like, whoa, that's insane. And we both come back to my house, and my road is foggy as hell. Now, my road is like very steep vertical, probably 3/4 mile into the woods. Foggy as all hell, like pea soup. And Aiden looks out the window and swears he sees some kind of beast running alongside the car. And I'm like, fuck, okay, what? And we pull into my driveway, and we get out, and we sit for a second, and my dad, who is driving, takes the keys out and goes into the house, and Aiden and I are just talking about crazy shit. And with no prompting, the horn goes off.
Of the car?
Yeah,
It was
like the car alarm, like woo woo woo, while we were sitting in the car, and we damn near pissed ourselves.
Oh, so okay, cool. So you've seen a ghost.
You've interacted with a ghost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think maybe the spirit of a Spanish nun followed me back from that.
So it's
camping
like
trip.
Friday the 13th meets Sunday service.
Yeah, and I call it the Curse of Mine Hill because a bunch of other weird stuff has happened on this road. Like there was a murder-suicide. People have gone missing. It's pretty, like, it's strange.
That's freaky, man. How old were you when this happened?
I was maybe 14, 15.
14. Right in your adolescence.
Yeah, so pretty spooky.
Well, I feel like I'm gonna die every time I drive up this road, anyways. So
Yeah.
Oh, we were tailing behind you going up, and your car was having such a hard time.
listen, my car is like, fuck, I can't do that. It's like,
If there were any more people in the car, I don't think it actually could.
yeah, it's like growling as it's going up. I'm like, come on, just like a little more, yeah.
You wouldn't be the first person to break down coming up here. So
Yeah, that was the, like, I was like, all right, there's no one behind me, and then I see just like lights behind me, and I'm like, oh shit, like,
Yeah.
I might have to pull into a driveway or something, but we came out okay.
Yeah.
We're here in one piece.
There you go. So, if I had a reoccurring, I've had like the scariest dream I've ever had,
Yeah.
which isn't really like scary, but I want your guys' opinion on it. So when I was to those of you who don't know, I was a missionary in Mexico for 2 years. I did service completely. Like I didn't get paid for anything. It was just a really good like spiritual like learning experience.
thank you for your service.
Oh, why? Thank you so much.
Yeah, you really,
But thank you, Mike, for being an EMT. Like honestly, not many people do that.
Thanks.
So, and what happened is I began my mission, right? So it's 2 years away from my family, away from girlfriend, everything. Like the only contact I have is like email once a week for about an hour, right? So, and Alec, you were there. I emailed you every week, and we just talked about, well, like just the dumb stuff.
Literally anything.
Exactly. And so, like, this happened really early on in my mission, is that I had this dream where I was, like, in this training center, right, all alone, and, like, I woke up, like, in my dream, and I was at my house, right? And it was, like, I completed my 2 years of service, but I forgot everything. Right? I didn't remember a thing that happened on my mission. Like, I lived through it, I did it all, but I couldn't remember anything.
So
It was
you
like
just
my
lost-
memory was wiped.
lost those 2 years.
I lost 2 years of my life.
That's pretty scary, actually.
Right? And so this happened about every month, at least once a month this happened. And I'd wake up in like cold sweats, like super scared, and I'd go to the sink, splash myself with water, and be like,
Remember Juan.
yeah. And really early on in my mission, when I was struggling with like Spanish or the language, like I'd complete my 2 years, I'd get home, and I couldn't remember any of my Spanish. Right? So my family was just like, "What? You went to Mexico and you didn't learn Spanish? Like you're an idiot." Like,
It's like, no, I did, please.
Please, Mom.
yeah.
Yeah,
So wait.
yeah, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I come home from my mission, right? And I don't have the same exact dream that I get home from my mission, everything's okay, like my family's there, I get to see all the people I've like was friends with before my mission, they're all really like enthusiastic that I'm home, and like I go to bed that one night and I'm just like asleep, right? And I'm in my bed and I'm back in Mexico and I can't remember anything that's happened in my life other than my mission. It's just I've been a missionary my whole life.
So
I
it's
have
like
no family.
It's the
and
reverse of the other dream.
yeah, and it's
Weird.
like the scariest thing I've ever experienced, because I wake up and I don't know who my sister is. I don't know who, like, my family, my mom, my dog. Like, I can't remember anything. It's just like, it's kind of what Justin said about just being lonely and just like just the solitude of being a missionary and how that affected me.
Yeah, you were disconnected for 2 years. So you said you had email. Do you have any like internet?
Yeah,
access?
we had we go to internet cafes every Monday to email our families and like message people through like Google. I forgot what their messenger is.
But you dedicated most of that time to like catching up to people, not like just surfing. Like
Exactly. Yeah, just
So,
catching up to people.
how was that? Like how was it being disconnected for 2 years almost from most of like basically American culture and then coming back?
It was a blessing and a curse, mostly because, like, you know how like your phone takes up half of your day, almost, or if not like a third of your day, or like when you're awake, and that was a blessing, just not having that human contact all the time. But I think those dreams really affected me. Like, I wanted to meet as many people as I could. I wanted to teach them about this really happy thing called the gospel of Jesus Christ, and I really wanted to like affect people's lives in a good way, right? And so that really like got my morals up. But at the end of the day, I would get home and I would just be like, I did a good thing today. I felt good about what I did, but at the end of the day, it's just me, my companion, and just like my books that I read, right?
Yeah.
So and it kept me focused on what I wanted to do, right? But at the end of the day, I kind of felt, I think every missionary feels this alone, and they recently just changed their policy where missionaries can FaceTime their families every week. Because on my mission, we could only FaceTime our families on Mother's Day and Christmas, which
That's
is like
that's an odd rule. Why would they put that in? Just like
pure revelation. That's what it is.
They
But we
wanted-
won't go into the details until religion and stuff.
yeah, I was just wondering how that that lack of content, I suppose, or contact.
Lack of movies, lack of influence.
Yeah,
I mean,
'cause-
I still like snuck in a couple YouTube videos every Monday, like catch myself up to like not keep myself totally like unhuman, right?
Yeah,
Because
for
we're all
sure.
human and we all make mistakes, right? And we all need something to like keep us going. Because if I feel like if we're just too much of ourselves or like too much trying to be someone else, then we lose ourselves,
yeah,
right?
I think disconnecting is definitely
And
like medicine for the soul.
Yeah, and once we lose ourselves, we start to become like robots, right? We start to become
We're part of a
sheeple.
system. It's
yeah,
like
exactly.
you check your phone as soon as you wake up. Most people do, at least. I know I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still trying to get better about that. But you check your phone, you go, okay, what did I miss? Even though you know everyone around you's been sleeping for
Yeah.
the rest of the night.
You
along
text
with
your girlfriend, she never texts back, right? To
Yeah.
like the day after, and you're so preoccupied about it. And it's just like, sometimes I did that on my mission. I like emailed my ex-girlfriend, right? And be like, hey, how you doing? I haven't heard from you in like 3 months. And the next Monday, I'm waiting for that email. I don't get it back.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
And that's a week of waiting, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
you're
fine.
always thinking about it. But we're gonna move on to the next topic.
Yeah,
So
I thought it was good for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. This next topic is what stops people from understanding themselves.
Wow.
What the
fuck?
That's a
I-
good question.
I have a simple answer.
This is
to
the
that.
last
I have a
topic,
simple
so-
answer to that.
What?
Fear.
Fear.
That's it. It's just being afraid.
Explain that.
So, when you everyone's afraid of themselves at some point because there's something in the back of your mind that's always going on. There's always thoughts, right? And whatever kind of thoughts you might be having at the moment, it's always in the back of your mind, and you don't want to bring that to the front, right? So you're like, oh, I'll just put that on the back burner for a little bit. So whatever it is, whether it's like, oh, I got to get a job, or I got to, confront this person about X thing, right? Or I got to do this. It's like, well, I don't want to do that. I'm going to put that in the back burner. That's fear. That's like, I'm afraid to check this off of my checklist. I'm just going to keep on putting on more check boxes on top of this thing until I drown it. But it never gets drowned at the end of the day because when you start, checking things off, it's going to come up at one day at least.
Mm-hmm. What's your opinion on that question, Mike? What stops people from understanding themselves?
That is a huge question, and I think whoever could answer that in like a tactful way could write a book and make a lot of money.
Are you saying Justin isn't tactful?
Fuck. You got me. What stops people from understanding themselves? I think I side with Justin here on fear. People don't want to do a lot of introspection or self-exploration.
And that's the thing too, because with kind of this introspective thought process also comes exploration in a sense, because when you're exploring yourself, you're still exploring. It's not like you're reclusive and only sticking to one thing. You're like, oh, why do I like this thing that I do all the time? Like, let's let's unpack that. Let's actually
bad habits, good habits,
habits, good habits.
Mm-hmm. Alec? What stops people from understanding themselves?
I'm with these guys. They couldn't have said it. I couldn't have said it better myself.
What stops you?
Stops me
from understanding yourself?
A mixture between laziness and ego.
Laziness and ego, right? I completely get with that as well. Like, as human beings, we're all I don't want to say we're all full of ourselves, but at the end of the day,
I'm perfect and you aren't.
Exactly. I'm holier than thou, and just I'm better in every aspect. So.
I'm taking over. This is my podcast now. I'm better.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
What?
I'm perfect. You're not.
Don't do that.
That's
all
just
right.
how it is.
So, I remember Alec was saying something like really important, like laziness and ego, right? At the end of the day, we're always thinking about ourselves, right? And that's not a bad thing. But also, I try, in my personal life, I try not to always think of myself, but think of, what is my mom doing right now? What can I help her out with right now, right? Or what's my friends doing? I want to hang out with them. I want to be, with them, right?
I guess I could speak to that, too.
Yeah. But then it gets to the laziness thing. Like, I'm thinking those good thoughts. I'm thinking, I want to be better. I want to improve. I want to go on a diet. I want to go to the gym. I want to be a better person. I want to stop watching YouTube videos till, 3 in the morning and just go to bed, right? Or study my homework, or study for school and doing homework, right? It's like getting those good habits in. That's something I've really learned is, having good habits. Having, a good mentality. But also something that's really helped me from to understand myself is other people, right? When I have other people pushing me to do better, it's easier to do those things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good kind of peer pressure.
Everyone needs a support system, and that's usually their friends and their family, of course.
And I think a lot of people lack that in some way or another, right? We got a pretty tight group of friends. We're all good friends. We all play video games together. We all hang out all the time, and we always talk. I don't think there's a day or a 3-day time span where we don't communicate at least to one of each other, right?
I think our group is really funny because we're all we all know each other so well, yet we're all still really closed books. In the sense of we don't really have deep discussions too often. We kind of just hey, that's cool to think about for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to this.
Yeah,
video.
we are very, very shy of introspection in the presence of each other.
Yeah, which I think is probably the most vulnerable, or one of the most vulnerable places you can be is, I guess, putting yourself out there and having other people just watch you kind of crash and burn, or
it
realize
feels
something.
it feels
This
a little
podcast.
almost a little bit like a source of shame to not be able to open up with people as close as you guys.
Yeah.
But it's weird. It still kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be doing with being honest with yourself and honest with your fellow man, right? Just being honest in every aspect, not just be hey, we're gonna go to the ice cream shop and we're not gonna invite Alec. You want to know why we're not gonna invite him?
Why?
Because he's lactose intolerant. But we still should invite him, right?
Well,
Just
we
so he
should-
can be part of the group. It's not like we're leaving him out or anything.
Yeah, well, he can get like a.
I mean, it's
dog
Alec. I
or
mean,
something.
Alec, though.
Oh yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, we're just gonna. We'll type in the group chat.
I get. All right, let me just. I'll take off.
Liam, let's get that outro. Here we go. And a 1. And a 2. And a 1, 2, 3, 4. All right.
So
All right, cut it off. We're not done yet.
So
So, Alec, get back down here. We need to finish this. All right. So, we talked about a lot of things, right? There's one main theme that we really talked about. What do you guys think that is?
Bro, we're having real talk tonight. I wasn't expecting this.
Real talk. I mean that's what I thought the theme was. I guess just finding ourselves. Like literally, I think the last question encompassed a lot of what we've been talking about already. Even talking to the intros was like, whoa, introduce yourself. Who are you guys? It's just like we're just talking about ourselves, really. Well, that's what we are. We're a whole bunch of nobodies that are buddies.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Exactly. And that is the complete theme of this podcast. Justin, thank you for wrapping up that very nicely. And I would like to wrap it up myself, put it in a wrap, eat it up for a nice dinner, a nice dessert.
Okay, spit some
And
bars.
Liam, this is it. This is your time. Real outro. Let's go. I want to hear some sick, fresh, clean, nice beats.
You got the beats. He's supplying the bars.
All right, Mike, I need your help. You can do this better than anybody.
It's like uncomfortably slow. You can't
Let's
even like
go.
Ethan.
It's
Alec.
Oh.
Ethan. Alec. Ethan. Alec. Yeah, this beat's trash.
Oh! Let's cut.